Devils' next move revealed. Becoming more of a common practice. Teams having success with it. Expect Devils to be in the rumors. Implications here. Let's talk about it. Welcome to Devils Digest. Hope you all had a great weekend and join us for the summer and hit the subscribe button to talk Devils hockey. Now, with free agency coming around and kind of seeing what teams want to do, what teams are, looking to do, what's became a little bit more common, we've seen it around the NHL more and more over the past couple years, are offer sheets. I mean, we saw it a few years back with Jesper Kotkaniemi, Sebastian Aho. Obviously, Kotkaniemi did wind up going over to Carolina, and last year we saw Dylan Broberg and Dylan Holloway, both from Edmonton, find their way in St. Louis. Looks like it's worked out pretty well for St. Louis. It's something that teams, it seemed like they were shy. If you go back a decade ago, you didn't really hear about it as much. And now teams are starting to figure out, general managers, they're smart. They're figuring out that this is a way to improve your team, and it's becoming a lot more common. We've kind of heard general managers or rumors and rumblings that they're going to use it this year. There's a few good players with potential who have the ability to be offer sheeted. So when I look at the Devils and the situation that the Devils are in right now, they don't really need any more prospects. It's not a need. It's not a necessity. Obviously you want to keep developing, but you're looking to win right now. That's the bubble that the Devils are in right now. They're looking to win. They want to be better than 91 points last year, 42 wins. They want to be competitive in the playoffs. 5 games against Carolina, not really good enough. So when you look at the offer sheet, it's an aggressive move, but there are a few players who are out there who could help the Devils right now. So going into some of those players, first guy on my list, Marco Rossi. Look, you think Marco Rossi, top 10 pick in 2020, just had a career season high, 24 goals, 36 assists, 60 points. Stayed healthy, 18-15. Now, you look at what Marco Rossi in Minnesota's going through right now. Minnesota has a few things that they need to do. One of the things they need to do is they need to worry about their superstar, Kirill Kaprizov, keeping him there. So if you can get to a number with Marco Rossi, it feels good that Minnesota will accept. There's been a lot of rumors, Marco Rossi wants over $7 million. Minnesota doesn't want to get to that. He wants a longer deal. So when you look at those type of things and where Minnesota is, what Minnesota needs to do, and what Marco Rossi wants, it doesn't feel, from what you're hearing, that Minnesota wants to go forward with it. He is a player who is still developing. Maybe hasn't hit that top 10 pick in terms of the type of points and production he's put in the NHL, but he is a player who is trending in that direction. Another player you look at, JJ Peterka. You heard his name around the trade rumors at the deadline last year. He's another player who people feel teams are going to offer sheet. He fits with the Devils. 68 points in 77 games, a clear breakout season for Peterka on a Buffalo team that, was kind of just Buffalo. Another not so great season. Still trying to rebuild. Feel like they've been doing that for a while. Want to switch things up again. That's pretty normal with Buffalo. And then the other player who I kind of looked into, or I feel could be someone the Devils do go after, probably a little bit harder, Dmitry Voronkov. 23 goals, 24 assists. His 5-on-5 numbers are fantastic. 55 Corsi this season. So there definitely are options here with the Devils and who they could potentially go to in free agency in terms of offer sheeting. Now, here's the list of what you would have to give up for one of these players. Now, the easiest one to get out of all these guys, I think, feels pretty obvious. It'll be Marco Rossi. Minnesota doesn't seem necessarily sold on Marco Rossi. There's been rumors that they want to get rid of him. To get to the number where, Minnesota's ready to move off and feels good enough with, the return, I think if you get over that $7 million hump, you got him. That'd be a 2026 first-round pick, 2026 second and third as well. I don't see Minnesota getting to that. I see Minnesota being like, you know what? We cleared up cap room, and we have 3 picks next season. We have a good young defense. We have some players in our forward group, Baldy, Kaprizov, obviously, Eriksson Ek, who we feel good with our core going down. I think they're okay shipping off Marco Rossi. It doesn't, from what we've heard and how they've handled the situation, I don't see Marco Rossi really being part of their core. They don't view him as that. So I think if you get to that $7 million number, you get him. Now, could you maybe get under $7 million and Minnesota doesn't matches? Well, like I said, it doesn't seem like they view him as part of their core. They have Brock Faber, Baldy, Kaprizov. That seems to be more of their core. Marco Rossi, top pick. But I guess sometimes you say, well, we got to move off some players to get better. And it feels like Marco Rossi is one of those players. Now, looking at it from a Devils standpoint, you need a third-line center. So do you get to $7 million to be a third-line center? That doesn't really make much sense. So if you can stay inside of the $4 million to $7 million mark, makes a little bit more sense, but it does give the Devils flexibility. We know they've had injury issues at the center position. Nico Hischier, Jack Hughes, past 2 years, they've both missed time. So when you look at it from that standpoint and you get a little bit more deeper at the center position, maybe you are willing to go to that $6 million mark. Maybe it does make a little bit of sense. So that's where I sit with Marco Rossi. Now, the guy who I think makes the most sense, and I really would think about getting to that $7 million number, is JJ Peterka. JJ Peterka is a forward the Devils could use. He had 68 points in 77 games last season. Now, he's probably also one of the harder players to get. Because you look at Buffalo's situation. Kevin Adams, he's been there since 2020. Hasn't found a way to make the playoffs. Team had another bad year. Doesn't seem to be improving. So you get rid of a JJ Peterka, a second round pick who looked like he was kind of transitioning into that first line player this past season. You go and get rid of him for, an offer sheet. You didn't really have to kind of make an exchange with another team. No, you just had to kind of another team do it for you. Hey, we're going to give JJ Peterka this number. Go ahead and match it. Yeah, that's tough to do. There's not too much negotiating going on. It doesn't feel like as a GM, that was your decision. Your decision was basically made for you to just pick between two. Pick, do you want to match the number? Do you not? Tough decision for a general manager to sign off on when, his team hasn't gotten good, hasn't gotten better since he's been there. So I think JJ Peterka would be a very tough get. Is he the best get of these three guys? Yeah, I'd say so. He's a winger, scored 27 goals, 68 points, stayed healthy. If you're the Devils, that all looks good to you. And the final one, Dmitry Voronkov. Look, Columbus, they have a lot of cap. They saw how he worked 5-on-5. You'd really have to get to a big number to go and get a player like Dmitry Voronkov. Overspending on him, I don't know if that makes a ton of sense for New Jersey, but, something to keep an eye on. Columbus is in their division. Do they want to make it a little bit harder on Columbus and go ahead and give him a contract or try to? Those are type of things that the Devils obviously will be asking themselves. I think Tom Fitzgerald will be very active this offseason. Expect the Devils in these rumors. Let me know down below. I think JJ Peterka is the best fit for this Devils team. But let me know in the comments below, who do you want to see the Devils go after? Who are some, notable players who you think make this team better? I mean, I love JJ Peterka. I think he makes this team a lot better. Already a top 6 forward. You can rely on him. It's a need. JJ Peterka would be my pick. Wouldn't be upset with Marco Rossi at the right number. And that's a decision Tom Fitzgerald will have to make. Let me know in the comments below. Who do you want to see the Devils go out and get in the offseason? Do you want to see them be active in the offer sheet? Who do you see? Let me know down below. Hopefully you hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you guys all really soon.